Hi, my name is Mark Biernat. I'm a monetary economist. In this video, I want to talk about what's going on in Western Ukraine and also in Poland, Romania, and the West's reaction to that. But most important, what's going on in Western Ukraine. First, I'll start with Poland. In Poland, Prime Minister Tusk and the Polish special services clearly indicated that it was a Russian attack on Poland, sabotage, blew up a couple rail lines. It was a Russian holding a Ukrainian passport, and he escaped to Belarus. That is clear. It was a Russian holding a Ukrainian passport, escaping to Belarus. And they blew up first a cargo line, carrying a critical infrastructure from Warsaw to Lublin, and nothing was damaged, not the cargo, but the rail line itself. The second line was a passenger line where the Polish conductor quickly saw that there was destruction on the track and averted a catastrophic event. This is very significant and very serious. This is and the reason is, in the Russians' mind, they're not testing the West. I've said this. They just clearly see Poland, or at least Eastern Poland, as part of Russia, as it always was in the 1800s after the division. This is their empire, and they're going to harass, and it's their future. They have their eyes set on Poland. Poles aren't going to take it. They're just not going to take it. They'll probably support Ukraine even more. They're trying to stir up anti-Ukrainian sentiment in Poland. I'm Polish. I'm living in Poland. Poles love Ukrainians. They're contributing. They're intelligent, hardworking, peaceful, law-abiding people in the society. I'm so happy when I see a Ukrainian, if I'm getting picked up by like a taxi or something. I'm just so happy because there's always something interesting to talk about. Intelligent. They're working in IT. They're working in law, government, teaching. It's just always contributing to society. In Poland, we have some demographics a little bit off here, declining demographics to some extent. This fills the gap, and even more, it makes good feelings between the culture. They have similar language, similar culture. And this is what Moscow doesn't like. Because with a unified, strong Poland and Ukraine, they know that the challenge is coming, that they will disintegrate. Also, fragments from drones, we can say drones violated Romanian airspace. They also see that as part of Russia. So what's going on, West? Aren't you going to do anything? I know the orange guys aren't going to do anything about it. This is huge invasion of, NATO territory to have sabotage occur. But the bigger story is what happened in Ternopil, not Chernobyl, Ternopil. Ternopil, Ukraine. It's in Western Ukraine, even east of Lviv, okay? It's a beautiful cultural city with opera houses and theaters and playhouses. It's just magnificent. And of course, the Russians, with no strategic influence, ideas here, they were just blowing up residential buildings and cultural structures. Heavy loss of life. There's no reason for them to do that. I have friends there, I've visited that many times. So what does this come down to? It comes down to, if we want to make the world a better place, Star Trek. The vision is, everybody has a vision. Part of being human, Homo sapien, Homo erectus, is that we have a large cortical region which allows us to plan for the future, vision the future, and that means our children and our children's children, and what life will look like on this planet. The Russians are about exploiting, fossil fuels, blowing things up. And I'm not talking about the Russian people, of course. I'm talking about the existence of the Russian Empire as it existed for 1,000 years. Just blow things up, exploit the environment, and capture enslaved people, tell them they're actually not society or culture, and just absorb them into this blob of imperial Russia. They are the blockers of the future. They should not exist. Think about Star Trek. It's a world with a greater vision where there's cooperation. We're reaching for the stars. We're trying to improve humanity. This is the course we need to set for humanity, for a greater world, a better place, a more peaceful place, and perhaps reaching for the stars. All the money that Russia uses to blow up opera houses, hospitals, schools, residential buildings could be going into science, playgrounds, medical research. Could be going into literature and artists, people actualizing themselves in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Instead, they're blowing up Ternopil. Why the heck would they do that? And you have to ask yourself, I know the answer. My answer is it's evil, okay? You have to call it like it is. You don't have to define it like I do as a metaphysical evil, which I do think it is, but I think it's evil. And anybody who tries to, waffle and say, there's Americans that say, well, Russia's defending Christianity. No, that's the opposite. We want to make the world a better place. They should not be attacking Poland, Romania, and Western Ukraine. Of course, they shouldn't even be attacking Ukraine at all. But these are more desperate attempts by Russia. And it's like a person that's down. They're taking these roundabout swings, at their opponent. So the good news is Russia will fall and might not exist in the future. Here, I've got an old school chart. You guys can chastise me again. I like to be non-AI-ish. And it showed the decline of real GDP growth in Russia over time since this war began. If you carve out the war component, it's going down. It's going very hard down and fast. And like I said, if the U.S. stock market goes down, if weather warms up, it's going to accelerate that decline. 2026 is going to be the biggest geopolitical explosion of your lifetime. It's going to be much worse when Russia went down in the 90s. It's going to go down so fast and hard when these millions of just dudes, these Russian dudes, soulless, dead souls that chose money to fight in an oppressive, wrong war, and they are dead souls. That's a literary reference, obviously, have to return home to Russia with economic collapse. What is it going to be? Wild gangs in the street? So if we want to make the world a better place, we have to be honest about our vision of the future. Is it Star Trek-ish? Or is it Russia just blowing up infrastructure, residential buildings, opera houses, schools, hospitals? I'll never forget they blew up that children's cancer ward, right? Inhumane treatment, enslavement, capturing, kidnapping. Is that the future you want? And again, the good news is life is fair in the long run. It just takes time. Russia will fall. Ukraine will win. My name is Mark Biernat. I'm a monetary economist. Have a beautiful day. Thank you very much.